In this episode, I'll be outfitting my new basement shop with the System Workbench by Tim Wilmots. This workbench includes a torsion box top that functions as a custom Festool MFT table, complete with dog holes, surface and side-mounted T-tracks, storage for systainers, and tools of all sizes. It has multiple work-holding configurations and can be built in modules depending on how large or small your space is. Alright, let's do this.
Let's do this.
The first thing to do is to cut out all the parts. You certainly don't need a sliding table saw to do this. A track saw or a cabinet saw will do a fine job. Here I'm cutting down some 8/4 maple for the face frames and resawing on the bandsaw. The planer gets me down to final dimensions. If you don't have a planer, you can buy your lumber faced on all four sides from most of the big box stores. This bench is held together by pocket screws, and I'm using the Craig Foreman to breeze through this step. The hardwood face frames are assembled with dominoes and wood glue, and here I'm marking the locations for them. Festool's LR32 system makes the drilling of these shelf pin holes a snap. And speaking of snaps, let's change to the dado blade and we'll cut some vertically and horizontally. The dados get some wood glue and the supporting pieces also get pocket screws. Face frames get attached with dominoes and ensure that everything lines up nicely. My version of the System Workbench has 3 of these main drawer modules, and I've made them quite a bit taller than the standard plans suggest, so that the slider on my table saw fits below the worktop bench, and because I'm tall and generally prefer a higher work surface. So in Tim's plan, these rails essentially create the torsion box that allow you to put your Festool clamps through the MFT style top. I'm going to modify it slightly, and that is by closing off a compartment, and I'll measure this to fit and drill a hole and add a vacuum port here to use this as a downdraft table. My Sys vacuum is going to live in this corner, so I'll be using that with the Festool sander to control dust. But when I'm using Dremel tools, cutting foam, polystyrene, any sort of hobby project where I want to control the dust, I might as well use this space. And I think that's a perfect size for some hobby work. So I'll just cut this to size and plop it in, and then I might seal these edges with some caulking just to make sure I've got a very effective downdraft table. So to box off this section, I've cut a piece off here that's going to split this, and at the same time I cut an identical piece I can use as a spacer to set my middle rail. and make sure it's in the right spot. At the outset of this video, I mentioned that these plans were from Tim Wilmots. He's a Belgian woodworker that's designed or adapted a number of Festool related projects, and coincidentally won Belgium's Festool for Life contest in 2013. He's been a big influence and inspiration, and I wanted to shout him out for that.
Thank you.
Tim includes plans to make these drawers out of wood, though they're slightly thicker than Festool's own drawers, which I'm using on my bench. My hardwood dealer is closed on Sundays, and I didn't want to wait to get some thicker lumber. So I bought these boards, which are faced on all four sides, from my local big box store, and laminated them with wood glue and a whole bunch of clamps. They were ready to be dimensioned and installed by the end of the day. I'm using the dado blade here and taking 2 passes on each side to match the width of my T-tracks. One is installed along the top and another across the base. I'm using a piece of 3/4 inch MDF here as a spacer to ensure that this is attached at the right height before screwing it in. Tim's design has these rails going around each side as well, but I only wanted them on the front. I'm using a piece of scrap here to mark off where the 3/4 inch torsion box perimeter and center lines are, so that I can screw in the MDF work surface from above. These are countersunk to keep the MDF from splitting at the edges, and I'm attaching it from above to allow for easy replacement once it's eventually worn down and in need of a freshly flattened surface. T-track gets punched, drilled, countersunk, and screwed into place, while these hardwood rails get centered and attached with screws. The drawers are constructed from 1/2 inch plywood with rabbets, glue, and brad nails. This is an easy jig to make that can turn any work surface into an MFT style tabletop. The width of the jig and the spacing between the holes is exactly 96 millimeters, with the holes drilled out with a 24 millimeter Forstner bit that matches the 24 millimeter router bushing that I'll use to then position my MFT dog holes. These are routed out with a 20 millimeter Festool plunge bit. A giant square keeps my layout perpendicular to the T-track rails. To finish the top, I'm using Osmo's Poly X hard wax oil, and I'm applying it in 2 thin coats, 24 hours apart. The last things I did on the workbench were to make and install the work support platform. There are free plans on Tim's website for that. And add these drawer faces. Add these drawers rather. The faces, the overlaying faces and drawer pulls have yet to be installed because I haven't unpacked the drawer jig. There are several boxes in here that need to get unpacked still. Ideally, once these drawers are full, I'll find that and get that complete. Building this workbench was much easier than I expected. So thank you, Tim. If you do buy his plans, they're very detailed and easy to follow. If I had to do one thing over again, though, it would be to connect these modules with some domino connectors so I can take this apart. Right now, if I move house, I'm never going to get this out without having to cut it up, which I will be sad about. This is the first real build in this workshop. I'm looking forward to getting a drill press stand, some clamp storage, probably mimic this design with the drill press stand because I like it. I think it's extremely functional. I can't wait to get a lot of use out of it. So I wish you luck on your build, and thanks again, Tim. I'll catch you later.